Aloha, this is Santa Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Friday, Mega Promise Friday, June 27th, 2025. I was crying a little bit in this show before this. I recorded this show because I was overwhelmed with joy and happiness. And oh my gosh. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on santasurfing.locals.com. We had a contest and we had a winner, which is Texas Patriot 22 on Locals. So congratulations. She and her family are going to enjoy a nice trip or a accommodation stay at Orange Lake Resort. So thank you so much for joining us there. If you are interested in where you can find all of our stuff, all of our channels, we're posting mostly on Rumble and on YouTube and Rumble, and then there's our radio stations, and then all of our social medias. I have a lot of posers out there, so you could find out which ones are me or not. And then if you're interested in any of our sponsors, we have a list from IVERMECTIN to this one, which is new. It's a $48 medical insurance club. It's awesome. We have precious metals IRA, we have pain, absolve, BODYSCULPT, brain energy, JUVENT, and then blackout coffee if you're interested. But anyway, I want to say thank you so much. Oh my gosh, there's so much great stuff going on. Today was a big day, but I'm going to start with yesterday first. Don't even know where to begin. I had no idea that a SCOTUS ruling so magnificent and so huge would be on our bingo card, and it feels like Christmas. Yesterday, on the 26th of June, 2025, President Trump, first of all, he comes out and he starts to talk a lot more about the one big beautiful bill. I will leave the link for the full video below it says OBBB video. And it was so wonderful. He had pretty much every walk of life of how the bill would apply, but every walk of life behind him when he was speaking at this White House event. Oh my gosh, he was talking about farmers and ranchers and the construction workers, and then the illegal thug immigrants that have hurt families, and the benefits for education. It just covers so much. He did emphasize that Mike Johnson, he'll be known as a legend. He talked about the 1,188 murders. I'm going to get to some of these codes in just a moment here. And then he said that the promises that he had made in 2024 will be kept. He's talking about the take-home pay for a family of four. It's going to save them $13,000. That's incredible. Then he talked about the cuts, the Fed cuts and the tariffs, and he also mentioned $88 billion. He mentioned that in today's speech as well. I'll get to today's speech too. Oh my gosh, I'm just elated. Then he talked about, of course, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and then he also stressed no tax on Social Security. So that's the big news, because I know the senior citizens, you really wanted to hear about that. Then he was just said out of the blue, it's like the invention of the paperclip back in 1817. That's a big drop. I'll share that in just a moment. There's so many things. I might have to do two parts to this podcast because it's so big and I'm about ready to cry, and it's just so awesome and just elated. Then he talked about eliminating, first of all, he talked about the expensing, 100% expensing, so for business owners. And then he said for just about everybody. So people that they make an investment. They may not have a business. They may have a trust, whatever it is. Again, I'm not an attorney, not legal advice, not financial advice, but he was talking about the expensing, 100% expensing. So rather than having to deduct let's say a truck you use for work or for your business, excuse me, not for work, but for your business, expensing it and amortizing it over 5 years, 7 years, you can deduct. Again, not financial advice, but from what I understand, it's deducting all of it. It's the bonus depreciation, as they call it. Then he talked about eliminating estate and death tax. So if you have, and he was talking about how farmers have passed on, and he said they like their children, so they passed on their farms to them, but the children couldn't afford the estate tax on that, so they ended up having to go into foreclosure. Oh my gosh. And then he talked about school choice, and there was just so many things in this. So, and then he talked about there were 28 countries, which I'll get to in a moment. And then he talked about that he won 2,750 districts versus the 505. So that's a massive landslide. He did say it's happening. And then he also said that he made a kind of a derogatory comment about one of the senators. Anyway, moving along. Let's go to that Q post 1817 where we talked about the paperclip. Q 1817, fellow patriots, what you're about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control, freedom. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt, pure evil, abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5. Stay the course. Trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. We knew this day would come. We stand united. We stand worldwide. WW. Where we go one, we go all. We fight. Conspiracy no more. And then Q added to that. Be aware of your surroundings. See something, say something. Some people are saying, where do I report this? If you see any kind of criminal activity or people putting videos out there saying they're going to do bad things to certain people. I've just been going to 45office.com in the contact page and just submitting a link. They don't give videos, they'll take links only. So keep it short to this point. And then I've also been reporting on FBI.gov on submit a tip. And then he was talking about the $88 billion that was received in tariff money. So looking at Q88, he mentioned that in today's speech as well. Again, we're seeing a lot more Q proofs in the 10 days that we're seeing, the different comms that we're seeing. It seems like it's another 10 days, darkness, scare tactics by MSM, D's falling, R's walk away removed, SA, Saudi Arabia, US, Asia, Europe. Disinformation is real. Distractions are necessary. Focus on U.S. today while real happening in Saudi Arabia under same context. And let me just go down here a little bit more. Military operations, operators in U.S., Snow White, The Great Awakening, Godfather 3, Q. Then what did the U.S. Army post today? It's a Ranger. This is Ranger training, Ranger tag, which is special ops. I'm wondering if the Army Rangers are on the move. Greatness begins at the end of your comfort zone. How do you challenge yourself to grow? And this is on Fort Benning Public Affairs Office. So it's got the Army Rangers there. Makes me wonder. Dan Scavino also posted a stealth bomber again. Are they making some stealth moves? Oh my gosh. Again, in yesterday's speech, I'll get to today's speech. Hang tight. But in yesterday's speech, President Trump, he had said that there were 28 countries at the NATO summit, right? Q28, okay, he's got this anonymous, it's a spy. And then it says, what must be completed to engage military intelligence over three-letter agencies during the 1950s, stay with me on this, guys, and 60s, federal troops and federalized National Guard forces accompanied by military intelligence personnel were deployed to help integrate Southern Schools 23 and to help deal with civil disorders in Detroit in 1967 and other cities the following year. It seems like this is coming from an actual document because it has 24, like number 24. Throughout this period, military intelligence units also continued to collect data on Americans at home who were suspected of involvement of subversive activities. Number 25, in the late 1960s, the Pentagon compiled personnel information on more than 100,000 politically active Americans in an effort to quell civil rights and anti-Vietnam War demonstrations and to discredit protesters. Number 26, that Army used 1,500 plainclothes agents to watch demonstrations, infiltrate organizations, and spread disinformation. According to one report, the Army had at least one observer at every demonstration of more than 20 people. You see where this is going, guys? 28. Number 28, the Army's activities were summed up by Senator Sam Ervin, allegedly for the purpose of predicting and preventing civil disturbances which might be developed beyond the control of state and local officials. Army agents were sent throughout the country to keep surveillance of the way the civilian population expressed their sentiments about government policies in churches, on campuses and classrooms, in public meetings. They took notes, tape recorded, and photographed people who dissented in thought, word, or deed. In thought, word or deed. This included clergymen, editors, public officials, and anyone who sympathized with the dissenters. Okay, that was posted by an Anon. Look what Q said. This is the Anon says, ha 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 ha. Trump has had military intelligence infiltrate Antifa and all the dissenting local governments, always 5 steps ahead. Q, please be true. Q responded, well done. Picture being painted. Kapow, kapow. Okay, so now we know that we have our plainclothes army surrounded in these groups and catching all the information, which is really awesome. Now let's go into what happened today. And if you're reading my Twitter feed, which I highly encourage because sometimes I can't get to the other sites, I'm just so slammed with so much great stuff. We're just doing the Sammy dance right now. The news that broke today on the SCOTUS ruling was bigger than immigration. Okay, it was ginormous. And I'll play a clip for you that was by President Trump and by Pam Bondi at the presser today. But we should all be ready to do the Sammy dance. Yes, go surfers. Go Sammy. Oh man, go boss man. We are going to see the evolution of the, changes and big changes and the hysteria of the liberals. So in short, this is what President Trump announced, and it was a SCOTUS ruling, a 623 ruling. And it is, I'll have you listen to it and then I'll go over it real quick. This was Christmas for all of us in America and eventually the world. Check this out.
This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done. And really, it's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades, and we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century. I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people.
Americans are finally getting what they voted for. No longer will we have rogue judges striking down President Trump's policies across the entire nation. No longer. Today, in the 6-3 opinion, Justice Barrett correctly holds that the district court lacks authority to enter nationwide or universal injunctions. These lawless injunctions gave relief to everyone in the world instead of the parties before the court. As the Supreme Court held today, they turned district courts into the imperial judiciary. Active liberal judges have used these injunctions to block virtually all of President Trump's policies. To put this in perspective, there are 94 federal judicial districts. 5 of those districts throughout this country held 35 of the nationwide injunctions. Think about that. 94 districts. And 35 out of the 40 opinions with nationwide injunctions came from 5 liberal districts in this country. No longer.
Well, I think taking power away from these absolutely crazy radical left judges is a tremendous. This is such a big day. This is such a big day. It's like it's sort of sad because we're doing the signing at 3 o'clock, and this may very well dominate the signing of a big war that was going on and really affecting the continent of. Think of it, the entire continent of Africa was being affected. And we're settling that war today, and this will probably be a headline. But this is a very big moment, and it gives power back to people that should have it, including Congress, including the presidency. And it only takes bad power away from judges. It really doesn't take power. It takes bad power, sick power, and unfair power. And it's really going to be, this is a very monumental decision.
Okay, you getting it? President Trump, he's not just talking about immigration and the birthrights. He's talking about everything. These judges, they cannot interfere with what he is trying to accomplish. These rogue judges, they intervened, they filed injunctions to prevent him from the rule of law, exercising the rule of law. They prevented him from his executive orders. They knew that they were doing something wrong. You know, President Trump is not going to let up. He's already sued 15 judges. Don't you think he's going to go after these other rogue judges? And they all these rogue judges come from liberal states. Let's kind of go back just in this past week, all the things that have surfaced coming from President Trump, coming from Fox News, Jesse Waters and the Five. Interesting, President Trump, he posted this. It was a text message from Ralph Reed. Who is Ralph Reed? He's a friend of President Trump, very, very loyal supporter of President Trump. But he was addressing that Obama and Biden allowed Iran, the bloodiest regime in the region, to kill, maim, threaten, and terrorize with impunity, and they did nothing. Remember President Trump, he hinted about the $1.7 billion in cash that Obama sent cash to Iran. Jesse Waters had Charles Hurt on his show a few days ago, and they talked about Charles Hurt talked about the leaker, the Pentagon leaker just committed treason. And what is the punishment for treason? The death penalty. From his words directly coming from him on the Jesse Waters show. Now, let me gift wrap this for you. President Trump, after I said, aloha, have a beautiful day on my podcast, this broke. The Democrats are, my podcast from yesterday, the Democrats are the ones who leaked the information on the perfect flight to the nuclear sites in Iran. They should be prosecuted. Do you see where this is all going? All roads are leading to the Democrats, Obama. The Five, Jesse Waters on The Five, says this.
Saying the bombs didn't work, says the Iranians still have a nuclear program. What kind of effect does that have? You're basically taking classified information and using it to undermine the commander-in-chief and cast doubt on the effectiveness of the American military capabilities and putting the commander-in-chief at a disadvantage when he's trying to maintain a ceasefire. It's treasonous. That's the T word, Jessica. And Cash and Bongino are going to be looking at these congressmen now because I have a suspect list. I feel like I know who this person was. And you can easily find them. There's a limited amount of people that access this intelligence. You go and see who got access to it, and then you narrow it down, and then you get a warrant for their phone. So they better lawyer up because someone's going to go to prison for a very long time. I really think that when you add up the Israelis, even the Iranians, the CIA, the DNI, the Pentagon, they all say the same thing. They hit pay dirt. The only one saying it wasn't a righteous shot was the Ayatollah and CNN. And the only reason the Ayatollah is saying that is because he's bluffing.
And then Carolyn Levette's briefing yesterday, I forgot to report it yesterday, but I'm going to go ahead and share it now. She just goes there about Obama, the Obama regime. Check this out.
The Iranian regime was weeks away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon that would threaten the entire world before President Trump took this decisive action on Saturday night to obliterate their nuclear capabilities. The contrast in leadership could not be more clear. Barack Obama and Joe Biden sent pallets of cash, American taxpayer dollars, in a failed attempt to buy the Iranian regime's compliance with a weak and ineffective deal. President Trump sent a fleet of American warplanes to destroy Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon. The United States and the entire world are safer because of this president's decisiveness. Despite agenda-driven leaks by the fake news media aimed at undermining this incredible accomplishment achieved by President Trump and our brave fighter pilots, there is broad consensus emerging already that Iran's nuclear capabilities were indeed destroyed. The United States, Israel, the United Nations, and even Iran all agree they can no longer build a nuclear weapon. So why did the president immediately turn to obliterating after the Iranian nuclear threat? Securing peace. Within 48 hours of the devastating strike, President Trump and his team brokered a historic ceasefire between Israel and Iran and officially ended the 12-day war. The Middle East is now shifting away from chaos and bloodshed and moving toward the beginning stages of a new era of peace and stability that President Trump has long called on them to achieve. This was unthinkable at this time last week, and this is what peace through strength looks like.
12-day war between Iran and Israel. President Trump has also ended the war between Congo and Rwanda. It's in their war. He's signing the agreement, the peace agreement, today at 3 p.m. Eastern time. How incredible is this, right? He does deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, I'd love to see that happen. And so it begins. Here it is, Republican lawmakers filing impeachment articles against a judge who temporarily blocked President Trump's control of the National Guard in California during this month's riots in L.A. Representative Randy Fine, a Republican of Louisiana, is filing resolution to remove U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer from the bench on Friday. That should be making headlines, right? And then this dude right here, Christopher Wray, where we had a big old red X over his face in one of the Q posts. It says, trust Wray. And then like 2 years later, it had a big old red X. The Oversight Project has recommended that the Department of Justice formally charge him. Referral from which it came from was sent to the Justice Department yesterday is looking to hold Wray accountable for his role in the apparent cover-up, but for his alleged false or misleading statements to Congress regarding the infamous FBI memo targeting traditional Catholics. Okay, so there's number 2. University of Virginia president, he resigns under pressure from Trump administration. We're going to see a lot more of this kind of news coming out, guys. So again, all hands on deck. And President Trump, he's just slamming Jerome Powell. And he said that if he can just cut 2 to 3 points, for every point it's equivalent to $300 billion. If he could just cut 3 points, yesterday he said 3 points, it would be close to $1 trillion cut in interest alone. And that would really help save America and also the national debt. He won't do it. So is he going to cave? But he even said, I think he had said the remarks of, he says, he's just terrible. Well, we have a hell of a lot more money because of the tariff funds. 1 point is equivalent to $300 billion. If he just drops the rate by 2 points, that's $600 billion. Yesterday's speech, he said, 3 points, that's close to $1 trillion. And then he said, he's just not a smart man, probably has Trump derangement syndrome. He should probably go back to the beach. Does he mean Cuba? Or is it Alligator Alcatraz? Or is it Alcatraz? Or is it Guam? Oh my gosh. Captain BC52, man, he nails it here. I love the decodes you guys are doing. Keep it going. Is this the way it works? I'm always confused, but I know he regularly capitalized things that should not be capitalized. You're not an amateur. You're on the mark. I'm going to show you guys a real quick and easy way to do all of this as well. So he took all the capital letters, and this is what it came out to. It came out to 543 as one of the gematria decodes, because you took all the capital letters, and look what it comes to. The Great Awakening, Q543. I never knew this before, and I didn't notice it until surfers on Locals had shared it with me. This is how it would work. You go on Quag, QAGG.news, QAGG.news. Now, again, search for President Trump or posts on X and on Truth. You can also look up Happy Trumples on X. Then you'll go right over here and take a look at one of his. Let's just take a look at this one right here, okay? You want to get all the capital letters on that one? All you do is just go hit this little A right here. See that A? Hit that. Boom! There's all the capital letters. All you need to do is just copy all of it. Some of them have like some really cute, wonderful messages in there. One of them did lead to JFK. Take that, drop it into gematria, and boom! There you have. Dang it. And President Trump, he announced the trade deal is signed. The details aren't given. They just signed the deal yesterday, 2 days ago, and he just announced it yesterday. We knew they had a deal in place. We're not getting the details of the deal, but all of those that were working with China to steal the election for 2020 and maybe before, all of those dirty politicians, dirty people that were involved, they are shaking in their boots because now what President Trump has done by signing this is that he had formed an alliance with China, and the dirty politicians on the left, or even the rhinos, they are no longer relevant to China. It's about to go down, and the floodgates are going to start opening. The dam is going to break. The liberals, the left, the loonies, the judges, the dirty judges, they won't go down without a fight. And they play dirty, so just stay alert, stay frosty, be aware of your surroundings, and help thy neighbor if you can. Right, again, we've had a lot of comms directing us to Q16, right? Get the popcorn. Friday and Saturday will deliver the mega promise. POTUS knows he must clean house the government in order to free up and demonstrate who has authority in order to pass important legislation, which in what I believe it is the OBB big, the one big, beautiful, awesome bill that the senators are going to be working on this weekend. So we've been getting MAGA promises this will be the third weekend that we've been getting this. How magnificent is this, yeah? And I'll tell you, get the popcorn, get whatever your favorite munch food is now, because it's going to get so lit. It's going to get a little crazy for them. For you get to enjoy all the hard work that you've been putting out there for several years. And now you're going to see it all come to fruition, and you'll be like, oh, thank goodness. And as we keep going into more of the mega promise, which is really God's promise and then some, as we keep entering, we have so many blessings that we can look right in front of us. You may say, I don't have much, but you know what you have? You have a very wealthy heart and soul. And we've all grown stronger together, yeah? And now it's time to really get ourselves to use God's gifts, because I think a lot of you have suppressed it. I mentioned that on my live yesterday. I think some of you might have been afraid to reveal it because it's probably too powerful and too overbearing for some. Some might say it's overbearing, it's too tinfoil hattish, it's too... Use God's gift, and please don't stifle it, because right now I believe we're going to need all of God's gifts and all hands on deck with what is going to be coming out. And I am so excited about how all of this is going to transpire. But just please thank God for all the blessings every single day, the little blessings to the big blessings, to the smile that you get from a stranger, from a child, from maybe you have a pet that just all of a sudden decides to sit on your lap and never has done that before, showing his affection or her affection. Those little things are God's way of just saying, I love you, my child. Just keep your faith in me. I will get you through this, and we're going to get through all this together. Thank you for the fight, guys. It's been an honor. I will be back on Monday. Have a beautiful, unless something really big happens this weekend, I'll be back over the weekend. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend and day and evening, and I will have a show on Monday. God bless you. Aloha.